Hey guys, I'm Michael Glass from IknowI'mFat.com, and I put a little short video to help my friends out there in the world. A little criteria to help you figure out if you're fat. Now, I think one of the first things that's pretty obvious that things that fat people do is avoid pictures. If you're avoiding pictures, you might start wondering if you're fat. Now, to a fat person, when a skinny person says I'm fat, or a skinny person, starts all that irritates us. But I'm talking about, your family pictures, work pictures, class pictures. When you're like, nah, I don't want to be in that picture, I want a picture. And people are like, oh, let's take a picture. Nah. And the reason you don't want to be in the picture is because the camera puts on 10 pounds. And for fat people, it's really 50 pounds. Now it's really time for you to start thinking that maybe you're fat. Or, when you do take pictures, you make sure you're in the back row so that people are standing in front of you covering up your size. Again, these are things that, you might just be fat if you're scared to take pictures because you're worried about how you're going to look in the pictures. We all know the camera adds weight, but when you're refusing to take pictures, you might just be fat. And I think in that same line would have to be when you go to restaurants and they say table or booth and you say table because you're just a little bit concerned of whether or not you can get your belly inside, especially if it's one of the booth seats where the table doesn't move. When you're saying table because you're trying to avoid your stomach, you might just be a little fat. Taking a look at my notes here. Another thing would be when you can't shop where your friends shop. When you can't go to Dulles Town Center, shout out to my Ashburn folks, or you can't go to North Lake Mall, shout out to my Charlotte folks. When you can't go to the mall to shop, you might just be fat. Not only can you go to the local mall, even Walmart charges a fat tax. We've all been in Walmart, and what did those signs say? 2X, 3X, $5 more, $3 more. It's a fat tax. Why I gotta pay more? What's that about? That's not fair. That's not capitalism at its best. Walmart charges a fat tax. So when you can't fit into the normal sizes that a regular store has, it's time for you to wonder, are you fat? Now, my last category for trying to identify if you're fat, there's multiple areas that falls into this category, and it all revolves around seat belts or belts in general. If you've been to my site, hopefully you're watching my video right now, if you've been to my site, but I have an article on my blog talking about Too Fat for Universal Studios. My family and I went to Disney World Universal Studios a couple summers ago, and I'm smart enough, I know I'm fat. So I knew these rides probably aren't going to work for me. I love riding roller coaster rides, but I didn't want to go through the embarrassment of getting onto a ride and being told you can't ride this. So I was really looking for the rides that you pull forward. And nothing of that over your head stuff. I was worried about that. So I did a really good job the whole day. And then finally, my kids wanted to go on to the Harry Potter ride. And when you look at the pictures, they make it seem like, hey, this is going to be all right. So I said, okay. So we stood in line. You know how lines are at those type of amusement parks. And we get all the way up there, and I got the tab. Yeah. Sir, would you mind standing over here, please? What's wrong? And so they take me over to the side, and they had a sample test seat, and it was an over-the-top one, so they pulled over one top down, and they're pulling it down, and the light doesn't go off. Sir, we don't think you're gonna fit. And I probably could have squeezed in, but at that point, I was just embarrassed and just didn't want to be bothered with anymore. So, my kids are looking, and my parents are there, and yeah, so I just left, and they all went on a ride, and they came back. Another example is flying. You get onto the plane, and I've got to boop boop, hit the light to get the flight attendant to come over, and yes, can I help you? Can I have the seat extender, please? What? I need the seatbelt extender, please. And then they give you that look like, oh man, you're fatter than we thought you were. And then they get you in the seatbelt is what it is. It's like another part. You plug it into one side and the other side so that the normal seat belts that they have on the seats work. I mean, there were times where I just wouldn't even say anything. I just hold it over so they see it. And then, as it goes on, Lord knows if that thing would have went down, I would have been up in the sky somewhere. But, you know, those seatbelt extenders are no fun. And even the last place, which is the really most common, that is passenger seats of your friend's car. You know, I mean, that's where, you know, I'm holding it in and I'm pulling the cord to make sure it's all the way out, and then pulled over, you know, to try to get it in. Had to really, in the newer cars, I haven't had that big of a problem. You got to reach down and make sure your seat's all the back, or if you have power seat, make sure the seat's all the back and pull it out, you know, and you're worried that, you know, am I going to fit into the seat? So, you know, in the end, whether you're fat or not, it's all about your self-worth and your self-esteem. So I didn't put this video together to help people say you're fat, ha, 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 ha. I put this video together to say when these things are happening, it's time to start examining what you're doing. I've always been a big guy, but I was always an athletic big guy. I played wrestling, basketball, baseball, football. You know, if my friends were out there doing it, I was doing it. I ran track. I ran the half mile. I didn't win, but I ran the half mile. You know, I even did the mile a couple of times. Never won, but I did it. My point being, I was always an athletic guy. Now, when I broke my leg a couple years ago with my daughter, she fell down the steps and I tried to grab her and she pulled me down. She was fine. I broke my leg. And you sit down for 3 or 4 months, you know, it's suddenly caked on. And, you know, again, so this video is not about, you know, haha, you're fat. It's about when these type of situations are happening and you're avoiding these situations, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your self-worth. It's not healthy for your family because they don't know what's going on. And so when these things are going on, it's time for you to start thinking about yourself and things that you can do. I'm not a diet person. I know I've got a video on my site about the lemonade diet, and I did that for a couple weeks, but I decided, you know, that's not for me. What is for me is portion sizing and exercising. I eat whatever I want to eat, but I make sure I exercise. And I've lost 50 pounds so far, and I'm on my way to get back to pre-marriage weight, and I'm on my way back to Penn State weight, you know. And it's not from dieting, it's from consistently exercising and consistently watching what I eat. That doesn't mean I don't think about what I eat. I think about what I eat all the time, as I talked about. When you're thinking about that next meal, and you're thinking about and making negotiations about the meal, you might just be fat. But it's about, again, just having that willpower. And I'm putting a video together. My next video is going to be about willpower. But this video is really about helping people recognize when these situations are happening, you know, it's time to really start examining. The quote I wrote down here is by Jared Kent, and he said, "I'm in good shape, and the shape is round." So I'm a round guy, and I like it, and there's nothing wrong with being round, but you can be a healthy round. I'm Michael Glass. I know I'm fat. How about you?